My name is Jerry Gagosian. Welcome back to another episode of Art Smack. I'm here with my host,
Annie Taylor.
And before we get started on today's episode, we are once again doing a Bernie Sanders thing, where we once again are asking for your support. How can somebody support the Art Smack podcast, Annie?
You can follow us and leave us a great review and give us 5 stars across all of the platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. YouTube as well. Our listeners can also offer weekly support, I believe.
Yes, so there's going to be a link in the description of this episode, and it says, support Art Smack. Very simple. You click on that, and it'll take you to a page, and it's either, I think it's 99 cents, $4.99, and $9.99, or a number of your choosing, and you can make it recurring, or you can make it one time. And your support really helps us. This is a very small, little tight, I love people who say things like, this is a tight, nimble team, which really means we're broke.
We're small and poor.
We're small and poor.
Welcome to Art Smack. We're small and poor.
And we are self-funding this project.
Yes.
And the other way that you can truly become a supporter is by becoming a sponsor of the podcast. How does one do that?
You can email me at anne@gagosian.com, and I'm happy to send you our media kit.
And that's Anne, ANNE at GOGOSIAN.com. Don't put an A in there. It's go. And with that, welcome back to Art Smack.
So Jerry, tell me about your drive-in.
Oh, yeah. So, well, first of all, I would like to thank my Lord and Savior for keeping me alive today. So I have a Tesla, and we recently got this.
Just say you were poor.
So I have a Tesla, and oh, fuck this. I have an EV. Okay, are you happy with that?
I am, thank you.
I have an EV. My friend Elon Musk, my dear friend Elon Musk, really wants people to start using the automated car driving thing, which normally is like an add-on app. Like you have to pay for it. And when we got the car a year ago, I was like, hell no. Like, no, thank you. I will drive the car.
Scary.
That's okay. But we got this email this week because I don't think enough people are using it. They're like,
Wonder why?
We will give it to you for free if you just like click yes and like do the software update. So of course I let Matt talk me into it because my small female brain can barely sense or protect myself from any danger.
Just a girl.
I'm just a girl in the world. And I was like, I'm going to give this a whirl. I'm going to do this thing. It monitors your eyes to make sure your eyes are on the road.
So scary.
So I can't be texting and driving like I normally would be doing.
She doesn't do that.
No, I never do that. But okay, come on. Even if you want to just fast forward in your podcast or whatever, you can. If you break the rules more than 5 times, it just automatically stops self-driving, which is a bummer because I was really enjoying my drive in today, looking around, and then it would be like, look at the road. And I was like, oh, okay. It did get me here. However, because there is so much construction coming between my fine state of Connecticut and your fine state of New York, there are just areas where literally roads just end. They just end because they
excellent infrastructure, obviously.
What is it? Build America Back or whatever. They're trying to do that.
Where are our tax dollars going?
Yeah. So there are roads that just end. And so the computer in my car just doesn't understand that. And what's really interesting is sometimes when the Tesla freaks out, it just stops. So the Tesla just stopped on the highway about 3 times today.
Safe.
And it almost killed me. I hope Elon Musk, I'm sure, listens to this podcast. hears about this experience somehow.
Offer us some financial support, Elon.
Yeah, it's sponsored to you by Tesla. No, but it was really scary. And the car stopping in the middle of the road obviously is scary, but what is even scarier is the rage of a New Yorker who you have now made 0.1 second later for something.
You wronged the entirety of New York with your delayed reaction.
People are like laying on their horse going around. They're like, fuck you. And I'm like, and I'm like pushing the buttons, like trying to get it to go. So anyways, that was my experience. And I'm just very, very grateful to be alive and to be here with you today. We've been talking a lot about the apocalypse today. Yeah.
We think it's end of days.
Okay. How prepped are you? You're not prepped.
I'm not prepped. I have 1 can of beans in my kitchen right now. If they were like, you have 30 minutes to quarantine, Lou and I would start.
You New Yorkers are so fucked. So you know what? This is what we were talking about earlier. I do feel like it's humane. There needs to be the kill pill.
Yeah.
Where you're just 15 minutes. Do I go out in a state of horror, or is there a euphoric goodbye pill? I mean, I guess if you were a New Yorker and the apocalypse were happening, it would be vodka and you're a shot of permanent adrenaline and that's it.
And that's it. That's how I go out.
Yeah. I look in my cabinet sometimes and I really do count up there's 35 days of survival in here.
So, okay. So you and Matt would make it 35 days. Lou and I would be dead after 48 hours.
Unless we can somehow get you to Connecticut.
Okay. You send the self-driving car to come fetch me. At that point, we can hack it and send it to you. Well,
sponsored by Blade.
Sponsored by Blade. I will blade to you in Connecticut.
You can land in my backyard. My backyard could be a helipad.
It could be a helipad. What are you doing?
But I just have to.
This is what Hildy and I talk about when we're alone, by the way. So, we just have a small cult going.
This is what contemporary art's really about, guys. These kinds of thoughts. I tried to watch The Social Network.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Okay. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
We always play this game. I think every couple does this where it's you've never seen this movie. What? What's wrong with you? Yeah. How have you never seen this?
We played that last night. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, no, I've never seen The Social Network.
Sorry for my failure.
Sue me. It was fingers on a chalkboard. It was the most annoying possible character. 15 minutes in when he's on that date with Rooney Mara. And I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my fucking God, turn this off. And Matt got so mad at me. He's like, every time it's my turn, you don't want to watch what I want to watch. I'm like, because this is annoying. Yeah. This is really annoying. And if this is what Mark Zuckerberg is I feel so bad for his wife.
She's fine with it.
No, could you be fine with that?
For that amount of money, probably.
No,
I'd be down in that bunker, living happily with my kids and my 16 cats. I'd be like, you want access to this bunker? Locks door, types in code. Bye.
So I've really played the game. I don't know if you've ever played this mind game with yourself. Could I be a sugar baby and what would the price be?
Like a yacht girl?
Is there any amount of money for which I could put up with a man who I hate? What dollar amount does that fall under? Because my best friend Charles and I, we used to be of the belief that everyone has a price.
Yeah. No, I think everyone does.
You think everyone does?
100%.
Okay. So sorry, Lewis. What is your price?
Can I name a price and then also terms of how I have to spend time with this person?
You have to make love to them once a month and look in their eyes.
That's a month. That's fine.
You have to you have a month. You have to look them in the eyes though.
Yeah.
And say things like, I love you. Yeah.
It's called lying.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Okay.
Once a month for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. For the rest of their life. In this situation, you're 85.
You're not allowed to murder. They're going to live a long, healthy life with you. You have to go on every trip with them.
Yeah.
There's no
Can Lewis still be my lover on the side?
You may not take a lover.
I may not take lovers.
You may not take a lot of it. You only in your fantasies.
In this situation, do they have all the amenities that I could have ever want?
Literally, yes. Do you want the Guggenheim to be named Annie Taylor?
Yes.
Rename business.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Probably 750 million.
That's it?
That's it? That's a fuck ton of money. What, do you want a bill?
Baby, I have to tell you something.
Yeah, you tell me. So you wouldn't be a sugar baby if you were given $750 million
I have
tomorrow?
No. Listen.
Are you better than me?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm not better than you, but I've experienced. So 2 separate times in my life, billionaires with a B have tried to lock this down. Oh boy, 2 times. And of course, the fantasy of money, like it's so fun to play the game. And like, what would you do with it? And where would you go? And whatever. It is like so fun. But when you're around a human being, an individual who looks at everything like an acquisition that they can have because they have so much money, it is for me personally, ugliest, dirtiest feeling, like in me, to feel like someone could own me because of their wealth. And I also just don't like how people that are that rich treat everyone else. I've been in the art world. I've been around enough of those people. They actually they act like other people are subhuman to them. They do. Sure, there's some billionaire somewhere with a heart of gold. Haven't met that one. I've met a lot of them. They weren't awful people. They weren't disgusting people, but they were like very entitled, and they really felt like they could have anything that they wanted because they had a certain amount of money. And on these 2 separate occasions, they didn't go very far. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there was not like a rock on my finger or something. This is like, one was a 3-week dalliance, and the other one was like a situationship, like where like they really liked me. Yeah. And I was like, could I do that? And then also on top of it, the ethicality, is that a word? The ethics of being a billionaire. To me, I do not think it's ethical to be a billionaire.
Well, that's what I'm saying is if you were this sugar baby, couldn't you do so many good things with all this money that you now have access to? Like, think of all the $500 art you could buy, all the communities you could support, all these artists you could uplift.
I mean, I guess.
Rename the Guggenheim Ann Taylor.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you can't bankrupt your billionaire in this imaginary game. Like, you'd be put on, these wives literally basically get put on a salary. I can say with assurance, I could never be bought. I couldn't. I have
so much stronger than me.
I have played this mind game. I swear to God, I really am like, could I do it? Could I do so much good with that money? What would I do? Because of course I'm like, I would get so much plastic surgery.
Oh my God, I would buy so much art.
You would get art. I would get plastic surgery. I would sleep in a hyperbaric chamber. I would have a full-time psychiatrist, just living on premises. So it could be like, I can't fall asleep. Can I have drugs? Yeah, I would have a surgical center in my basement. So I could get new boobs every 6 weeks. I could really it would be great. I could think of all these things,
I would open a gallery where 100% of the profits go to the artists, except overhead costs.
Wow. Why are you the better person than me now?
I'm not. I'm like a sellout. I'd take 750 mil.
Yeah, but you would do nice things. I'm fantasizing. I'm I can't be bought or sold, but I would love tons of plastic surgery.
Nothing's wrong with that. And take care of yourself.
How did we go from the apocalypse to that? So here, I have some tea. When I lived in LA, my hairdresser was Grimes' hairdresser. Okay. Who would go on tour with her and whatever. She seems weird. Yeah, she's straight. Cool art girl. Yeah, she's an art hoe. And this is when they were newly dating. So of course I was asking my hairdresser. I was like, "What's the deal? Is it real?" And she was like, "I swear to God, they are so in love." They like really were in love.
That's nice to hear, actually, because they're two strange souls.
Because they're like, they have 2 kids together, actually. And he has like, speaking of
17 children.
Yeah, because he thinks like all these rich dudes in the manosphere like think that, you know, the West is losing, which it is, and like replacement theory, and that they need to have as many children as possible to populate the earth. It's all very weird and semi-racist and problematic
And just awful.
Nonsense. Yeah, very, very elitist. I mean, I remember a friend of mine in Denmark said this to me once. She was like starting to have kids. She was like, no, her 2nd kid already. And I was like, I'm not having kids. Like, oh my God, no. Like, she was like, that's so interesting that you're not having kids. She was like, in Denmark, it's considered a huge status symbol. Like, the more children you have, like,
because the wealthier you are, the more you can support them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like considered like a really high status symbol. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. If you think about it, like at the bare minimum, every couple, in order to replace our population, needs to be having at least 2 children. When I went and I did that eclipse thing, which I should probably tell you about, but when we were on the plane, I don't even I didn't know a lot of people that were there. And I had also taken like a Valium because I hate flying. So I was like not fully conscious, but I was like listening to everyone else talk. And this really rich man who was on the plane was talking to his business partners about how he was like thinking about getting a divorce from his wife because she has spent so many years working and she doesn't want to quit her career now because she's gotten so far, and he wants to have kids. And Matt was there, and I was like, I swear to fucking God, if you ever do that to me, I will kill you. It's like so hurtful.
It's so hurtful.
You get put in such a bad situation as a woman, and then just to hear men openly talking about it to other men. And I mean, I was within earshot. Obviously, it's like very hurtful when you think like, it's not fair to me that the first 10 to 20 years, which is my opportunity to do something and make myself economically viable, also coincide with when I'm like eligible to make and have babies. And it sucks that you have to make a decision,
make a choice,
and choose.
And then you're penalized down the line by your partner who theoretically at the time is supporting this decision. And look back at their life and they're like, oh, I didn't get anything out of this. But then I also love the narrative where like, say you were telling your husband, oh, you know, maybe I do want to stay home and have kids.
You're a gold digger.
Yeah, you're a gold digger. You want all my money. Blah, blah, blah. No, you should stay and work.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I will stay and I'll work. And then you work for 20 years, 26 years, 30 years. And then they turn around and they're like, well, no, you didn't give me a kid or 6 kids. I don't have a son to throw a ball around with. So bye.
Yeah, and I'm going to leave you for a 27-year-old.
Yeah, for a 27-year-old who, by the way, likely won't work. And we'll just have your kids and you're happy. Because at that point of your life, you don't care. And like, I saw it a lot growing up in New York, like not a lot of healthy relationship models, you know?
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to see women just be used and thrown aside. Like we're just baby making machines, or that's it.
Or like accessories, you know? I mean,
like you're a cool new thing for right now while you're working hard, and it's great to be with you and tout you as my partner. And then down the line, it's like you're just disposable to them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why you gotta be super selective about who you end up with.
To get on the same page ahead of time.
I mean, and hopefully that works. You know, like this is all a great experiment. There's people whose opinions I don't always agree with, but whose opinions matter to me. And one is, have you ever listened to the Red Scare podcast?
Mm-mm.
So both of the girls that are on it, Anna and Dasha, I think it's Anna mainly. I mean, sometimes they say things that I think are a little out there and offensive, but I think they are edgelords on purpose. But like, one of the things that Anna has talked about, and I think she went on Barry Weiss and like debated this, is basically that like the feminist movement was like a failure because women all had to go to work in the 1940s because the men were gone. And then the men came home and the women were just supposed to go like right back into the home.
Their character.
And then all of a sudden women were like, no, but I want to be out of the house. I want my own financial freedom. I want my this, and this. And that sort of began the second wave of feminism. But some people argue that if you look at wage growth in the United States as it relates to inflation, having a dual income family has not necessarily raised the individual family's like net worth.
Yeah.
So like, because women get paid less, they're spending less time with their children. And if men's wages have also not increased enough with inflation, it's like we're now working doubly as hard.
Yeah.
And on top of it, we have to come home and raise kids and take care of the house.
Yeah.
And so her argument or her thesis, which I think is interesting, is basically like second wave feminism failed because Americans are working twice as hard for way less money.
I kind of think that just means we need to rethink like our work system, because the 40-hour work week, which is just like a baseline, was built around the idea that the man would go to work and the woman would stay home and do all the household chores, X, Y, and Z, raise the children, do the grocery shopping, do the cooking, do the cleaning.
Do the bills.
Exactly. And that's a full-time job.
For sure.
And now we look at people who are both partners expected to go to work for 40 or 60 or like Lewis and Matt, like 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
And then we're all expected to come home and raise kids and do all those things that before it was more evenly distributed. And I just think like, if we're going to keep people working and if we're going to be like a fair economic system, then we need to dial back on this 40-hour work week, these 5 days a week in the office. We need to be more flexible. And that was one great thing that came out of, COVID, was the fact that it gave people an opportunity to be home and kind of get a better grasp on their life. And you see all these other countries and some companies around the US like doing like 4-day-a-week work trials. And you just see that there's no downturn in work production. And there's just an extreme uptick in worker happiness and work-life balance. And I just think like we need to look at the people too. If you can get your work done in 4 days from home, you don't need to sit at an office and be like chained to your desk just so that your boss can see you working. I just think it's so outdated.
Yeah. Yes and no. I think there's certain situations where you need to be in the workplace. But I know for me already, like AI has increased my productivity and my efficiency minimum 20x already. I use it for everything.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's incredible. My first round of living in New York, there was a time, I will never forget this. It was one of the hardest, saddest times of my life. I had 5 jobs at the same time. And I remember counting it in my calendar that I had worked 57 days in a row, at least 2 jobs a day, and never had 1 day off.
Yeah.
And that
barely making it.
And I was barely, and that was for my privilege to go intern at an art gallery 2 days a month.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but like, had I had any skill that was applicable somewhere else, I wouldn't have been put in such a bad position.
Yeah.
And this is why, and I know that everyone's not as dumb as I was to go and get a degree in new genres from San Francisco Art Institute. But, I remember my first day of SFAI, one of the teachers who had reviewed my application, and this was in 2009 or something. This is before memes were memes. But I don't know, this was like prophetic. He came up to me and he said, I looked at your portfolio. I thought it was so great. You're going to be the next Barbara Kruger. And I was like, I didn't know who that was. I was like, note to self, go Google.
Google
Barbara Kruger. And now I really do believe that she's like in my artistic familial lineage where I can see that we have some kind of relationship with image and text and a certain form of like activism and direct communication. And like, I really admire her and look up to her work. But like to be told on day one, compared to someone like that, I definitely thought like, oh, I'm going to come out of school and like,
and have that trajectory.
And I'm just going to walk out and the galleries are going to be like, come with me, child. There was no conception of money. And it's not because I was so privileged when I was younger that I didn't have a conception of money. It's just that the art world is such a moneyed universe and picture that it's very hard when you have to stop and think like, how do I make $1?
Yeah.
How do I make $50? How do I make 100? How do I make 1,000? Like this money doesn't just fall off of trees. And the same goes like when people with this 500 project, which we should talk about in a second, you know, people have made a lot of comments like, you should just turn this into a website and sell these works. And I'm like, okay, so who's going to pay for the admin on that? Who's going to insure it in case it shows up
the shipping
damage?
Exactly.
Who's going to pay for the shipping? Who's going to do inequality assurance? Who's going to
talk with the client, talk with the artist?
Who's going to do all the client relationship managing? Blah, 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 blah. Who's going to pay for the Squarespace?
Yeah.
Who's going to design that website? Who's going to market it? Like all of this stuff costs time and money. And I think when I was younger, it wasn't until I had to work 5 jobs at one time that I truly began to appreciate how hard it is to make money and therefore the importance of having a degree that is useful somewhere else down the line. Yeah. And I'm going to get off this hill because I feel like I've talked about it on 2 episodes. But it's important, guys. And like, that's why I talk about it, because I know that there's a lot of artists that listen to this podcast that either are in student loan debt or are getting their BFAs or their MFAs now. And I'm not trying to scare you, but you really got to think, how am I going to make money and live in the most expensive cities in the world and have time to make art?
Yeah.
You can follow my route. You can do what I did, but be prepared to sacrifice not having kids.
Yeah.
I wasn't in a relationship for 10 years.
Yeah.
I worked, at one point 5 jobs at a time. Yeah. Like I made ultimate crazy sacrifices that I think most people don't really want to make.
Yeah.
And if you do want to make that sacrifice, by all means, like hit me up in the sacrifice chat, but it wasn't fun. And I don't think I deserve a badge or like get a gold star for what I went through. It sucked. It fucking sucked. So anyway,
the 500 project. Let's talk about the beautiful piece that you purchased.
Yes.
Have you paid for it yet? Is
it
on its way to you?
Yep. Paid for it. Venmo. So nice.
That's amazing.
Venmo plus $30 for shipping, which probably means FedEx. I'm fine with that.
So here is the work, beautiful work by Mado Pang.
Yep. Mado is Chinese and Japanese, and she moved to the US when she was 17. Her work was one of the works when Matt and I were looking at it. We're like, this has like primitivism. This has like Die Brucke. Like there's a lot of like German expressionism in there. We just really liked the work. We were really excited about it. But there were so many other good works.
Yeah.
Like I chose this one, but I would say that there are 20 works out of the 2,000 that I would so happily own in 2 seconds. And if I had the budget for 20, how much money is that? 20 times
10,000.
If I had 10 G's right now to just throw it out there, I would definitely buy those. That's just not my exact financial priority right now. As I mentioned before, I have to go to Switzerland in June. Oh, it's so expensive. Yeah, the project was amazing. I got a lot of positivity and a lot of love, and a lot of artists really enjoyed it because they kind of treated it like Willy Wonka and like the golden ticket, where it was like, I mean, we went through as many. I told Pia to stop at 2,000.
Yeah.
We could have kept going. A lot of people were like, oh, you didn't open mine. I'm still getting submissions today, and I'm like, guys, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, please stop. We had so many submissions, some crap, some just incredible, beautiful work. Again, I said this in my Instagram live, but I really mean it. Like, the world is in no short supply of genius or talent. Like, it is there. There's so many wonderful artists out there. It was such a pleasure for me. It reminded me of back when I used to have a gallery. My favorite part of having my job was like getting to go and like meet new artists, do studio visits, like get into someone's practice. It's kind of like platonically getting to fall in love over and over again with someone new. And I mean, that's really fun. I think that's why actually I didn't mind selling art so much back when that was my job, because for me, it always felt very authentic, which is why I never showed or sold anything that I didn't actually love, because I'm a terrible liar. Like, if I think something is bad, I can't fake it. So when I had my gallery, I really did show and believe in every single artist. That doesn't mean I was in a baby emerging contemporary art gallery. It's not like I was, selling everything out all the time, but it was really fun to like meet clients, introduce people to work, talk about the work, why it was so interesting, what made this artist in particular fascinating, why they're, their individual subjectivity informed the work in such a way that like really made it unique. And like, it was so fun. And I kind of felt like I got a little glimpse of that again. Doing this. I mean, people were like, you should start a gallery again. It's like monopoly money. I'm like, how? Like, who, guys? How? Like,
how? With what funding?
Yeah, like, who's funding this gallery? And also, who's going to work there? Because I'm not working there. I don't want to
be a gallerina again.
No, I don't. I don't. You know what I don't like about it?
What, galleries or gallery?
Working at a gallery.
Yeah, tell me.
It's really mean what I'm about to say.
Oh boy. Yes, I'm ready.
I didn't like owning a gallery or working at a gallery because I did not like the idea that I was viewed as rich people's help.
Yeah.
Like, you're like an over glorified like maitre d' at a restaurant that they like.
Do you think that's true for every gallery and every position at a gallery, like a senior director at Hauser Wirth?
100%. Having to kiss the ring and submit. I think this goes back to our like $1 billion question, like having to submit and be humble to people who may think that they are better than you because they have more money I'm not humble enough or a good enough actress where I can pretend that doesn't bother me. I remember this one time when I had my gallery. It was me and my business partner, and he was out that day. So it was just me at the gallery all day. So I had to run to the bodega to get like a little lunch. I wasn't out for like a 4-hour client lunch. I literally ran across the street to pick up some lunch from the Mexican bodega and a Diet Coke. And within that time period, a billionaire woman, art collector, had stopped by, couldn't get in, and like wrote me the most like scolding email about how I needed to learn what it was to be a professional. Awful. Yeah. And I was like, sure. So, I mean, I didn't say anything. I did suck it up in that moment. I was like, you're absolutely right. I'm so sorry. But I'm like, I didn't have someone there to like open the door for you. If you would have waited
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Literally, I was across the street. You could have come in. I swear to God, especially in the art world, you see this a lot. Like dealers, art advisors. I see people get horny for money. in a way that's just like, again, another reason I know I can never really be bought. Because I'm like, it doesn't do anything for me. Like, I've been in certain situations where I think most people would be like deeply flattered and like in awe of wealth and opulence. And I guess it's because I grew up in a working class environment, and I have been poor and I have been below the poverty line at other points in my life, where I look around and I'm like, what are the wait staff doing here? How are they? Like, I can't help it. I feel like I belong more with them sometimes. Or I look around and I'm like, who built this? I wonder if they were paid. Were they paid fairly? Like, I can't help it. I have those thoughts. I have those feelings. I don't look at the person with all the money and think, oh, gold stars for you for like being rich. I think like Jeff Bezos, like those workers are so severely underpaid
and they can't take bathroom breaks on the line.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
And then like he's walking around the world with his steroids pumped up. Like I certainly don't worship that.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. I think that some people, they love money so much, it really turns them on. I watch it. Oh my God. Yeah. You'll see it, you know, when we go to TAFAF. I feel like TAFAF brings out. Love TAFAF, by the way. It's one of the best. It's one of the best fairs. But you will really see people get horny for money. Yeah. In a way that is like, because they're like, oh my God, we're on the upper, you know, east side. Yeah. We've got like that, or we've got that like cohort here. And it's very interesting to me because people lose their goddamn mind over money. And do I like not being in poverty anymore? Yeah. You better fucking believe I love that. I am so grateful for my life. But I do not worship at the altar of money. I worship at the altar of art. And I have had to say that to a few people because art and money have such a weird, conflated relationship that sometimes people misconstrue where my interest in these things lie and where I'm actually aligned.
Yeah. Do people think you're in this for money? Have you ever been called a flipper? Have you ever purchased a piece and have people think you're just looking at it as an investment?
No, I'm not a flipper. I've sold work to people who I know are flippers. Yeah. But I didn't know at the time because I was like really naive. Yeah. So I was like, I didn't know. I was like, oh, they're just really enthusiastic.
Oh, wow, they just really like this work.
And also when you're like a young art dealer, you're like, you want to buy this? Okay. You know, like, sure. Yeah, please. Buy them all. Yeah. My like mission on this planet is to be art's biggest cheerleader. Like I am here for artists. I am here to proliferate the message of art, to give like the medicine that I believe is embedded, like coded within art is a spiritual medicine. Yeah. And I am like here to like promote that anywhere and everywhere I go.
Then I want to hear about what are your next steps for the 500 project? Like, how are you helping elevate these artists? Where do you want to take this? Because it was obviously a resounding success.
Yeah, it was a crazy success. So what I want to do right now, I'm looking for a partner or a collaborator, a sponsor. And I would like to create a series maybe on YouTube that lives like YouTube, TikTok. And I want to take the 500 model and then I want to say, okay, well, what can I get for 1,000? Yeah. And then what can I get for 5,000? What can I get for 10,000? What can I get for 25,000? What can I get for 50,000? What can I get for 100,000? And I want to go all the way to $1 million. Wow. And each step of the way, I think there's a lot to learn. Because the reason that I did the 500 project, or I started at 500, is because I think that the economy is showing us right now, if you read any of the art world financial reports that are coming out, or if you just have eyes and ears or know a contemporary artist, like sales are really bad right now. Mm-hmm. There has to be a market correction. And there also has to become a middle market, a lower and a middle market. And that has to become socially acceptable.
Yeah.
It can't be like, ew, that's disgusting. It has to be like just as cool.
Or like poo-pooed.
Yeah.
Like look.
Or judged.
Yeah.
Whatever. So that has to change.
Mm-hmm.
So I am sort of trying to red pill the art world into like changing their thinking on this.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I don't see like great value in the individual scarce object. Mm-hmm. But do I think like the medicine, as we were talking about, that is encoded in the art, is it best served in a temperature controlled storehouse somewhere in a free port?
Yeah.
Or if it's remade 20,000 times and bought for $5.99 at Ikea in a shitty little frame that's hung in somebody's kitchen and they look at it every single day. Like, I'm really trying to help reimagine this with artists and with business people. This is what I wrote my thesis on to get into business school. How do we change this? It's just as much about changing hearts and minds as it is about like, look at there's secret sauce to everything. Yeah. It's another reason I did the LVMH certification is how they've been able to brand and take something that is actually not scarce and give it the illusion of exclusivity and make it pricey, but not make it so pricey that people can't have it. Yeah. And then it becomes aspirational. When I was 20 years old working at Hooters, like I knew girls, like their sort of first step towards like proving to themselves they were on their way up and out of whatever situation they were in was like, they'd go buy a Louis Vuitton bucket bag.
Yeah.
And that was like step number one. And like it should be like that with art. Buying a piece of artwork should be just as like much a talisman for like your path towards something whatever greatness you're headed towards. I have like 1 million talismans on my body as we speak right now. Not really, but like 10 talismans just on my body right now. My art collection, talismans.
Yeah.
I have books that I have read and I keep the book as a talisman. I have all these things. My art collection, all of the energy that I get from all of the voices of all of those artists and their hearts and their souls and their karma. Those are talismans and they are literally my protection.
Yeah.
They are guiding me through life. And so I was really shocked when these kids in these grown-ups in my executive MBA program were like, I don't get it. I don't have a talisman. What does a talisman mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no. I feel so sorry for you. What a scary place it must be for you to live in.
Well, maybe they had those things, but they just didn't understand the word. Or
I mean, she really explained it. I DM'd the teacher. I was like, word it this way because I think it would help a timepiece, like a watch. For a lot of these like finance bros. Yeah. I'm like, that's a talisman. You look at it every day. You're like, oh, okay,
brings me
it guides me. My biggest mission in life is like to bring more talismans to more people. And I think it is so profoundly unfair that most people's talismans are like live, laugh, love posters, like a picture of the Eiffel Tower that says Je t'aime, or you know what I mean? Like
j'adore.
Like that sucks.
Yeah.
I
who's to say your talisman is better than that person's talisman? Maybe that's what's guiding them and making them happy.
I do think that enabling like variety in talismans is good.
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't tell you this yet. So podcast, good time to tell you. I had a meeting yesterday with someone whose client is in charge of doing all of Target's art buying.
Awesome.
So I have a meeting with them coming up.
Revolutionize Target, please.
Yes, I'm going to. And I'm going to have a conversation with them because obviously there's a supply chain thing, right? Because it's like First, you got to license the art. And I found out, like, this guy does go to every art fair, by the way.
Okay.
But then he has to find each artist, reach out to them. Let's say Target will have a thing like, we need things with a lot of leaves that go with this interior decor that we're selling this season.
Or it's fall. So you need brown yellow.
Exactly. Yeah. And then he'll go find those artists, license the work. Then it goes through a supply chain. It gets reproduced in China or in India, shipped back to the United States. Has to be made really cheap. Like, I know this is not a simple thing. If it was easier, it would already be done.
Yeah.
But I am going to have a meeting with him. And then the other thing that I'm going to do, this could go in any big box retailer, my idea. But my dream would be Ikea. So, you know how when you're on like the second floor of Ikea and you're walking through Ikea, you see like models of everything. And then you scan the QR code or you take a picture of the number. And then when you go down, you can go and find it and you buy it. I think they should have that. They should have art intermixed with all of that. And then when you go down, there's like a machine and you put in the number of the thing that you want. The artwork pops up on a screen. You choose the size that you want.
Yeah.
You could get it, huge or small. You hit print. It makes a really nice print.
Yeah.
Print it out, roll it up. There's tubes right there. Right next to that are all the matching frames that come in all the different sizes. Boom. And you can constantly have tons of art from all over the world. You can have local art from the actual area where the Ikea is. You can do big licensing deals with big artists. Like, I know that some people might be listening to this and they're like, yuck, this is gross.
Yeah.
But listen, maybe it sucks that your profit margin is $1 on a work of art that's sold. But imagine selling 50,000 of those in one season.
Yeah.
We're talking about real money. Like that, do that 4 times a year and you're making $200,000 a year. I mean, it's a good idea. And so I have all these, I'm bursting with ideas with how do we bring more art to more people? What's your idea?
I'm thinking that Ikea or Target could do like an artist residency program, and they could have artists, come put them up nicely, and over a 3-month, 6-month period, create maybe examples of the same body of work in multiple sizes, and then they could sell those original canvases.
So I know that Ikea has a design like conference every year, and they do something similar to that with designers. And I know that H&M did Karl Lagerfeld, Target did Isaac Mizrahi. I know that Ikea 100% does collaborations with real designers. So you can get like pretty cool, not everything, but like you can find really
like
cool
a collab
things.
with Justin Outler, and you can get it.
Exactly. What you're describing, sure, they should do that. That sounds cool. But it's, how do you mass produce it? Don't throw up in your mouth when I say this, but like, would it look good above my sofa? Or would it look good in my living room? People want to know that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't understand why people are like so disgusted by the idea of like the unwashed masses coming in contact with their art. It's actually so snobby and classist and disgusting. And it makes me not believe in artists who allege to have these like altruistic, open-hearted, generous ideas in their art when it's like only meant for the 0.01%.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm excited to hear what Ikea or Target has to say.
One more thing, and I'll get off this tip because we have to get to the voice messages.
Oh, yeah.
So a couple years ago, I was really sick. I think I've told you that. I was bit by a tick.
Yeah.
I felt like I was spinning and I had a really high fever. And I remember that in order for me to go to the bathroom, somebody had to like take me, or like I had to use a bedpan. But I remember that when I was in the hospital, there was like a little drawing of flowers, right, in a frame in the bathroom. I don't know why that was there, because it was like the ICU step unit, but there were flowers in the little thing. But I remember that it was as simple as this. They would walk me to the bathroom, and I remember that I would do this. Hildy, flowers, rail. Hildy, flowers, rail. And it was literally looking at that artwork of flowers that kept me in my body and in my brain. Because, I mean, my body was shutting down. And my brain was doing all kinds of crazy shit because I was having an internal hemorrhage. So my brain was like sitting on my skull.
Yeah.
Like I was going through something crazy. Yeah. And literally that artwork was like an anchor for me to stay on Earth. And I'm sure that was like a $2.99 at Walmart thing.
Yeah.
Talisman.
So yeah.
But like, let us make more of that available, and not just like a little painting of purple flowers or a live, laugh, love, or a je t'aime Paris. But like you guys, when I talk about like mass reproduction of artwork and stuff like that, like quit getting pissed off that I say poster. Quit getting mad that I say $50, $95, $20. I'm talking about like the medicine of art getting proliferated. Yeah.
No, it's so funny that you mentioned that about the flowers, because I feel like this winter I had a little bit more difficulty with like seasonal depression than I usually do. And I purchased this piece, that canvas on the other side. Well, you can see it, but I purchased this piece at Miami last year, and it's yellow and green and brown. And it's,
I know.
Yeah. And it's about the artist's relationship with nature. Her name is Michelle Fletcher. And in sad moments, I would look at this canvas and I could like feel the sun, like the yellow from the sun, or I could feel the wind, or I could hear the leaves in this piece. And it really did like bring me back, would ground me. And it's nice for people to have those things.
It's your talisman.
Yeah,
it's your North Star.
Yeah.
100%.
It's so nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Art is so nice.
Oh,
okay.
She is so mean to me sometimes.
I love you. Okay, I think I have to get on your Wi-Fi. We're going to go through these voice messages. Party. Here we go.
I gave up on art. It used to be my life. I actually regret not doing the show with Roberta Smith and Jerry, where they asked that anyone that wanted to give up on art make a piece. There will be a show. Oh God, and I'm not even ready to say I gave up on art. I didn't. I just chose a different pathway in my life, and that's hard. I feel like I gave in to the corporate world, to the full-time job with the salary. I was so convinced when I got into a master's program for art with professors that told me I have 5 jobs and I'm barely paying rent. And I'm not blaming it on that, but funny how the trajectory of life happens. And I'll never forget either when I was in art school and we had an artist come and say that all of you, if not most of you, will not be making art in 10 years. And we all gasped. How dare you? He's right. I think the 4 that made the crappiest art out of all of us are still making art and doing really well. They had the tribe. They didn't give a fuck. They kept going. And I think I gave too much of a fuck.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Well, you go first.
I want to say you're not a sellout for like getting a corporate job and taking care of yourself to pay bills. I don't think you need to view that as a failure, like you've given up. But it kind of sounds like you've lost the joy in your artistic practice. Maybe you need to rethink, I don't know, your creativity as something that brings you joy and is a pastime and not something that you're going to live off of. I don't know. Is that defeatist?
No. Okay. So we don't know the name of this person. So, dear friend, first of all, I just want to say that I really felt what you just said. And I heard pain in your voice and frustration and resentment and anger. Yeah, you've got to do what you've got to do sometimes. Sometimes you just got to pay the fucking bills. And that professor was right. And you know what? Like I said earlier in this episode, I have worked 5 jobs at a time. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm full-time doing art, but like, took me 12 years to get here.
Yeah.
You know, and like 12 years of horrible, like when I was down to like my last $49 in my bank account kind of shit, like bad, like really bad, like going to openings to get the free food kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I've been there. So like no shame in you like having taken a freaking job. Like we've all got to do that sometimes. I don't know what your responsibilities are. I don't know anything about you. I don't know if you have a mortgage. I don't know if you have kids. I don't know if you care for a loved one or a parent.
Yeah.
And therefore you feel like you have responsibilities. But Matt, my fiance, gave me some advice this week that I'm going to give to you, but I'm only giving it to you under the precondition that you are careful with this advice, because I don't want you to be reckless. So a week ago, I was having a really bad week. Annie knows that. Yeah. I was having a really bad week. I gotten like a series of kind of like bad news, a couple things like were really not working out. Some stuff was going on. And I got really, really frustrated about my career and about what I was going to do and the path that I'm on. And Matt said to me, I don't know if I told you this.
No.
Matt said to me, Hildy, how about for the next month, you just only do what you want to do, what makes you happy, and create. Mm-hmm. He said, stop worrying about making money and having a career. I'm in a privileged position where my partner can take care of the bills. I mean, I'm not going to be like, shopping at Bergdorf Goodman to relieve my creative stress. That wasn't the offer. The offer was just, Hildy, for 1 month, take your mind off of trying to figure out how to make your career go and literally just go back to being creative. Mm-hmm. And what is wild, and you've seen the magic happen in the last week, is I did that, and it was probably mainly just the mind frame shift, this incredible explosion of all these opportunities and all these really fun things and projects and also with money and all these other things came. But it was only when I sort of let go and had this like surrender. So I'm going to share Matt's advice to you, but apply it to you and however it fits your life, because I don't know your situation. But if you have money squirreled away, or if you have a partner who can bridge the gap, maybe you need to take time to just go back to being 100% creative and not be so worried about money. It's kind of crazy what happens when you just turn that part of your brain off, because I'm a big believer in woo-woo. I really do believe that if you are doing what you're intended to do on your path, the money will always come.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Some people don't believe that. I don't want to like tell you to believe what I believe and then like you end up financially decimated. So I'm not giving you financial advice, but I am giving you advice that if you feel like you need to be on a certain path and you're on the wrong path spiritually, like there's never a better time to like jump onto a different timeline. They talk about it in business school. She'll know what this is. She works a corporate job. Sunk cost. The sunk cost is already there.
Yeah.
You've already sunk costs at any given point. Like you've already made that investment. So no point crying over spilled milk.
Uh-huh.
If you need to hop onto a different timeline and do something else to be happy for yourself, like go for it. And best of luck to you. And please stay in touch with us.
Yeah. A quick note from our sponsor, Etna Fine Art Logistics, the preferred shipping partner of ArtSmack and Jerry. From shipping to storage and a specialty in art fair operations, Etna provides a seamless one-stop shop for all your fine art logistics needs. They are also facilitating shipping and art handling for all the spring shows in New York, so if you need any logistical assistance, please feel free to email me at annie.taylor@etnafineart.com. ArtSmack is produced, edited, and mixed by Joe Tisdall. Thank you, Joe. We love you.